What's up, super fans? It is Fit Nerd from Superheroes Ultimate, and yes, I am incredibly delayed on uploading this video for Shang-Chi due to the fact that, well, my office actually did take a big hit on the flooding that happened with the current hurricane. I am based out of Jersey, so yeah, needless to say, I had a pretty high amount of water down here, and I've been rebuilding this entire headquarters due to its destruction of furniture, and have had to get new furniture and move stuff around. As you can see, a lot of the bottom stuff over here, that is all the stuff that got covered with water. So I have been quite occupied daily, non-stop, just moving stuff around, throwing stuff out, cleaning up this place, making sure it dries up, and nothing else will get damaged. So without further ado, let's talk about Shang-Chi finally! Unlike the recent movies like Black Widow, where we were able to watch the movie on the streaming service of Disney Plus and the movie theater, this one was the first of the Marvel movies that went straight to the movie theater only. And it did quite well, and all for good reason, because this movie was super freaking dope and worth the wait. Between the excellent writing, the incredible martial arts, the special effects, everything about this movie was just so on point. Now, I will talk about the little nitpicks that I had with this movie, as far as the Mandarin's rings, which are kind of like bracelets, but we'll talk about more about why they're actually still rings. Let's begin with Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. He did an incredible job at portraying the legendary Shang-Chi, with fellow co-star Awkwafina, which I feel kind of stole the show in a couple of circumstances because she is so perfect at her comedic timing. But what I really want to discuss is that Abomination and Wong scene, and how this may possibly lead into the Dark Avengers. As we saw in the fight scene between Wong and Abomination, it looks like Wong is actually training the Abomination, which means they have been doing this for quite a bit. When Wong opened the portal in the locker room, we can clearly see that there's a bunch of cells, and it looks like this is actually the raft where he's going back. Now, I do want to discuss more about, of course, the Mandarin himself, and how they actually fixed what errors they did in Iron Man 3 by bringing back Ben Kingsley as Trevor. Seems like the 10 Rings actually recruited him as kind of their own private gesture, because of his acting chops as pretending to be the Mandarin. And we finally get to find out the truth that the Mandarin and his whole history of having the ring over 1,000 years. Now, the internet has gone on a somewhat rant about their bracelets, they're not rings. The origin of those rings hasn't been fully stated in this movie. As we saw in the end credit scene, there is something else bigger that wants those rings back, is now coming back for those rings. And yes, they are rings because the beings that they originally belonged to, the aliens that they belong to, are actually really giant ass beings. That's why they're rings, and they never shrank to the size of actual human size rings, so they can wear them as bracelets over here. But yes, they are rings. But one of my pet peeves is that they never really showed any real powers with the rings themselves. As most of us know from the comics, Mandarin is majorly OP because of the rings and all of the powers that they have. Each individual ring has a bunch of abilities that they can utilize. And in the movie, they mainly just showed it like it's this type of energy, type of source that he can use it as a whip, to grip onto things, to power through. It never really showed all of its real powers, and I hope that maybe in near future, when the beings coming back for the rings will actually show the abilities of the rings. And if you're wondering of all the powers that the rings actually possess, here's a list of all of the powers each individual ring. I mean, just one single ring from left hand to right hand. The pinky has the ability of Ice Blast, the ring finger has Mental Intensifier, which magnifies Mandarin's psychic energy, enabling him to mentally control a person. His middle finger has the power of Electro Blast, which emits quantities of electrical energy determined by the wearer. The index finger has a flame blast, which emits infrared radiation. The thumb has white light, which emits many different types of energy from electromagnetic spectrum, which is basically laser beams. And then on his right hand, you got the black light, which creates an area of absolute blackness where all light is absorbed. It is believed that this ring accesses the dark force used by people such as Darkstar and the Shroud. The ring finger can disintegrate stuff. It's a disintegration beam. Literally disintegrate stuff. The right hand middle finger is a vortex beam. It causes air to swirl about in a vortex. So yeah, basically he could create tornadoes with this ring. The index finger is an impact beam, which means he could hit stuff really, really hard like a sonic beam, which he kind of utilized when he did that jumping thing to get from place to place really fast. I mean, this is a huge list of abilities. Each individual ring is supposed to have different powers, and I feel like they didn't fully utilize the rings here, but they gave us a small taste of what the rings are capable of doing. Maybe they'll keep it as, you know, it's just utilized as an energy type of power versus all of these different abilities. I don't know if they're going to change that in the near future, but I hope they actually show more abilities with the ring. As we saw in the second end credit scene, his sister, which was super dope throughout the movie, gave us an excellent amount of exposition throughout the movie, and is most definitely going to return in Shang-Chi 2, which is the 10 Rings return, unless they're going to do a solo movie of just her leading the 10 Rings. But let's face it, Shang-Chi is definitely going to be involved with the 10 Rings being ran by his sister. He's got to keep her in check somehow, and most likely she is going to step over the moral compass, filling daddy's shoes. Even though it is fairly sad that it is definite that his mom was killed due to his father's past, and even though we only got to see Mandarin in this movie because he's definitely dead due to the soul suckers that literally ate his soul. Yeah, they ended up fighting the soul suckers, which is a fantastic tie to all of the Doctor Strange stuff and other dimensional beings. All of the things in the multiverse, in different types of dimensions, different types of beings, different type of celestials, which is coming up with the Eternals. What a time to be a comic book nerd. There is so much being unraveling, and we're still just tipping the iceberg. It's also fair to note that Death Dealer was super dope without saying a single word in the movie. And yes, even though I've been dealing with a bunch of the chaos in my headquarters, I really wanted to watch this movie again because it is totally a repeat watch. You can watch this movie so many times and still enjoy it every single time. Between the martial arts, the mysticism of it, the organized crime. I mean, this movie literally had everything jam-packed into it. And yes, I did still have my nitpicks between the dragon and the 10 rings not being fully utilized to their full capacity as we've seen in the comics. But this story just totally rocked. Awkwafina was super awesome, and I feel like there were moments where she outshined Shang-Chi, and that was okay. I'm totally fine with it because her character was super dope. It was right there up with Shang-Chi. I finally got to sit down and do a quick video on this. No, this is not the usual type of videos that I would normally really break down and review stuff, but I had a small chance after the chaos that has happened. So please bear with me, and for all of you guys that have followed, subscribed, liked, and comment, and follow me on Instagram, I thank you from the bottom of my nerd heart. And please, if you guys want to show some support for the channel, check out our Teespring store with our official merch for Superheroes Ultimate, which includes t-shirts, tank tops, mugs, totes, stickers, face masks, and so much more. So if you want to check out some of our latest official merch, take a look right below the video. And of course, if you guys want to get any cool collectibles and apparel, I placed a link in the description below. There you have it, guys. Shang-Chi is finally out. Next up, we have Venom coming up, and then followed by Spider-Man, which has a whole hell of a lot jam-packed into it. And while we're waiting for Venom, we have What If, I don't know about you, but MCU is coming out guns blazing from every corner. You guys know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, give us a like, turn on the notifications, and I'll see you on the next. This is Fit Nerd, over and out.